Vehicles are some of the most important things in GTA Online, but with there being so many to choose from, it's hard to know which ones are worth buying. But that's where this video comes in. These are the 10 best vehicles you need to own in GTA Online. Starting off with armored vehicles. More specifically, the armored Kuruma, which is one of the best cheap options in the game, costing just over $500,000. But just because it is cheap does not mean it lacks in performance, because this is one of the best vehicles to use during any PvE situations, due to its all-round protection against any gunfire that you may encounter. The only real downside to the armored Kuruma is the lack of explosive resistance, because this thing can only take one shot from any explosive before being destroyed, which means you're pretty much screwed during any attacks from other players. However, that's its only disadvantage, because when fighting NPCs during missions, it is by far the best option to use and is still one of the best armored vehicles. And speaking of, another amazing alternative is the Duke or Death, which is an amazing armored vehicle that is completely free to all players, and that is a bargain for what you get in return. Because unlike the armored Kuruma, the Duke or Death not only has all-round bullet protection, but also explosive resistance, which puts it ahead of the Kuruma, taking up to 4 homing missiles to be destroyed. So not only is this a great vehicle to use for PvE situations, but it can protect you from any other types of attacks. The only real downside to the Duke or Death is that the bullet resistance isn't as strong as the Kuruma, with there being many openings within the windows for NPCs and players to get easy shots at you. But other than that, it's a great alternative to the Kuruma. And while we're on the topic of armored vehicles, some of the most powerful vehicles that you can own are Imani Tech. If you don't already know, Imani Tech can be accessed through the agency if you have the vehicle workshop upgrade, in which you can turn a regular vehicle into an armored beast that can literally protect you from all things within the game. The Imani Tech upgrades include armor plating, which costs $150,000, and if you pair this alongside the full armor upgrade, this will make any Imani Tech eligible vehicle able to withstand up to 12 homing missiles, making them some of the best armored vehicles in the game. You also have the option to add primary weapons and slick mines, which not only makes these vehicles armored, but also weaponized. And by far, the best Imani Tech feature is being able to add the missile lock-on jammer for $400,000. When equipped, this will protect your vehicle from any homing missiles trying to lock onto you, which means any oppressors or jets that try to go after you will struggle a lot, and even if they manage to hit their shots, your vehicle will outlast them with its armor. However, there are 20 different Imani Tech vehicles, but I'll be recommending the 3 best ones, starting with the Omnis EGT, costing $1.8 million, which is one of the few armored electric vehicles in the game. This vehicle takes 12 homing missiles before being destroyed, as well as being incredibly fast because it is an electric sports car. I highly recommend picking this one up. Another Imani Tech vehicle I highly recommend is the Buffalo SDX, which will cost $2.1 million. This also takes 12 homing missiles, and it has a top speed of 126 miles per hour. Let's just say you're going to be protected in this vehicle. And the same thing goes for the Ocelot Virtue, which is another armored electric vehicle, and it is just as good as the Omnis EGT. Although it is a little bit more expensive, costing almost $3 million. However, you can actually get this vehicle for free as a reward for completing the Last Dose missions as a leader, which is massive because you get access to one of the fastest and best Imani Tech vehicles, saving you $3 million. And another vehicle that protects you massively is the Nightshark, which is the final armored vehicle on this list. The Nightshark costs just over $1.2 million, and for the price you get a very durable and fast SUV. We've already gone over some of the cheaper armored vehicle options, such as the Kuruma and Duke or Death, but the Nightshark is one of the best that any player can own. When fully upgraded, the Nightshark requires 27 homing missiles to be destroyed. That's more than the Imani Tech vehicles, making it an extremely powerful vehicle that you should definitely own if you want protection. Not only is the armor amazing, but the Nightshark has amazing speed as well, allowing you to outrun most players when under attack. The only real downside to the Nightshark is the lack of defense, because although it is almost impossible for players to blow you up, if you want to fight back when using the Nightshark, you're fairly limited to what you can do, because even with the built-in machine guns, they barely deal enough damage, and that is if you can actually aim them, as well as not being able to shoot out of the vehicle with the full armor plating, due to the armor blocking the windows. A way to avoid this is just by not equipping the full armor plating for the windows, because although this does leave you a lot more exposed to being shot at, you can actually shoot back when doing this. Another amazing vehicle is the Toreador, which is one of the most expensive vehicles on this list, costing $4.2 million. And although it is fairly expensive, what you get in return is totally worth it. The Toreador is an armoured, weaponized sports car, which is also submersible, and if that doesn't convince you to buy it, the rest of this video will. It includes some of the best features out of any other vehicle in the game, with the first one being its rocket booster. There are many vehicles in GTA Online that have boosting features, however the Toreador's booster is much more powerful, because it only has a 2-second recharge, making it one of the fastest land vehicles in the game, as you can travel from point A to B extremely quickly. Like I mentioned, the Toreador is also submersible. However, what sets it apart from other vehicles such as the Stromberg is that you can also use the rocket booster underwater, allowing you to go very fast both on land and in the water. When it comes to its weapons, the Toreador gets even better, as it has both homing missiles and torpedoes, which have unlimited ammo capacity, giving you a huge advantage against any players. The tracking on the missiles is some of the best in the game, which makes this an amazing vehicle to use against any flying targets such as oppressors or jets. Players like this are more likely to come after you as well, because the Toreador doesn't have any special map icons, so by the time a player attacks you, they won't realise what they're getting into before it's too late. But if you are under attack, the Toreador does take 6 homing missiles before being destroyed. Another very fast vehicle is the Vigilante, also known as the Batmobile, and it takes that name for a good reason. It is a beast. Just like the Toreador, the Vigilante has a rocket booster, and a massive one, which makes it a very fast land vehicle. This thing does cost $3.7 million, and in return you get the Batmobile. Like I said, the rocket booster on the Vigilante makes it extremely fast, reaching top speeds of 150 miles per hour, which makes it incredibly useful for traveling across the map, because it also packs a massive amount of damage. It's basically like a phantom wedge, but without the ramp. This thing can plow through pretty much any vehicle in its path when using the boost. You're basically unstoppable. However, the main reason you would want to own the Vigilante is because it can be used during any mission, which includes heist preps. And from what we just went over, this is extremely overpowered, as you can complete any mission with this vehicle in no time. And it is also weaponized, featuring homing missiles, which makes it the only vehicle in the game with missiles that can be used during missions. It's safe to say this thing is very powerful. And speaking of powerful, next up is the Acid Lab, and not the business itself, but the vehicle that comes with it, which is the Brickade 6x6. Although you can technically just buy this thing from Warstock, there's a much cheaper and better way to unlock it, and that's by simply completing all of the first dose missions, which allows you to equip the Acid Lab into the Brickade 6x6 for $750,000. And when you do this, you get access to one of the best vehicles in the game. When customizing it inside the Freak Shop, you can add a ton of upgrades to it. With a full armor upgrade, the Brickade 6x6 can take 48 homing missiles before being destroyed, which makes it one of the best armored vehicles. You can also add ram upgrades to the Brickade, which basically turns it into a more overpowered phantom wedge, because any vehicles that are in your way will be destroyed and sent flying. You can also add proximity mines with 5 different options: kinetic, spike, EMP, slick and sticky mines. Any of these will give you an even bigger advantage over players. And because the Acid Lab is a service vehicle, you can request it wherever you want, which is extremely useful. And that leads me to the aircrafts on this list, starting with the Oppressor MK2. We all know what this vehicle is. GTA Online players are notorious for hating it, because it literally is the most overpowered vehicle in the game, and also one of the most expensive, as it costs $8 million if you want to own it. And look, this vehicle is definitely overpowered, but that is exactly why you would want to own one, because when it is in the wrong hands, the Oppressor MK2 can definitely be a huge problem, and it does have its flaws, but there's no denying that it is extremely useful for all types of situations, especially for grinding. It's a very fast and versatile vehicle, allowing you to move across the map without any problems, and given the fact that there are also homing missiles, this thing is a beast. When used correctly, you can complete any type of mission in no time. It is literally a grinder's best friend, and if you don't already own one, you are missing out on saving a lot of time. And something else that saves you a lot of time is the Sparrow, which is by far the most convenient aircraft in the game. You can purchase the Sparrow as an upgrade for the Kasaka, which will cost $1.8 million, and this is definitely one of the best investments you can make. The many benefits of owning a Sparrow is that you can spawn it next to you wherever you want, almost instantly, which can save you a lot of time. It is also one of the most agile and fast helicopters in the entire game, and with its speed, makes it even faster than the Oppressor MK2. You can outrun pretty much any other aircraft when using the Sparrow, and because of all of these factors, this makes it extremely reliable when it comes to completing the Cayo Perico heist setups, allowing you to complete them all in no time, because it can of course be stored inside the Kasaka, and that is where you can equip it with homing missiles, which aren't the best tracking missiles, but with all of the other advantages that I went over, the missiles are just a cherry on top and make it much more powerful. And speaking of powerful, another great aircraft option is the Akula, which is a lot more expensive but definitely worth it, costing up to $4.5 million. This helicopter is relatively fast and agile, having some of the fastest acceleration out of other aircrafts. However, that's not the main reason you want to own one, because the most notable feature of the Akula is its stealth mode, which allows anyone flying inside of it to move across the map without a blip, making for some very useful surprise attacks, or more importantly, running any businesses that you have without any disruptions, because you can hide any business cargo that you are holding when in stealth mode, which allows you to grind your businesses without the need to worry about any griefers, which is a massive advantage against other players. However, if you are attacked by others, the Akula has strong armor and maneuverability, allowing you to easily avoid most homing missiles, but if you are hit, it will require 3 of them before being destroyed. The Akula also comes with its own weapons, which are the homing missiles or the barrage missiles, which can be very powerful for most situations. So the Akula is a great helicopter option, and that brings me to the final vehicle on this list, which is the Raiju, a very expensive jet but also very powerful, costing $6.8 million, and the F-160 Raiju has it all, because it is one of the few aircrafts that allows you to switch between vertical and horizontal mode when flying. And while in horizontal mode, the Raiju is the fastest vehicle in the entire game, reaching top speeds of up to 187 miles per hour. It also has the quickest acceleration and amazing handling. You can travel across the map in literally minutes. It's extremely fast, and it even allows you to fly directly up without losing any speed, which is going to be so powerful during missions or any activities that you are doing. When using the vertical mode, the Raiju slows down very fast, and when using it, it is extremely slow, which can leave you prone to being exposed, but it only takes 2 seconds to instantly regain speed back in the horizontal mode. It is extremely reliable, just like its defense, taking 3 homing missiles to be destroyed, which isn't great, but the chances of you actually taking a hit are near impossible due to the rapid speed of the jet and how quickly you can dodge any missiles. And just like the Akula, this jet also has stealth mode, allowing you to hide your blip from other players on the map. So if you combine all of these factors with the missiles, this makes it the best vehicle any player can use for any type of situation, because it literally has all of the features you would need. I highly recommend owning one if you don't already. And another thing I highly recommend doing is subscribing to this channel if you want to know the best ways to play GTA Online, as well as checking out more guides that are on screen now. And I'll see you all in the next one.